Welcome back to Daily Wrap. I'm Joe Concha, joined by Rick Unger, Congressman Blackburn, and Amy Holmes, the chatty Cathy tonight. Just like a little commercial. She gets paid by the word.
Right.
Anyway, before we get into our story that we've been talking about tonight, obviously the biggest story of the day, the shooting that happened in Chattanooga that left 4 Marines dead. We do want to tell you that there has been a verdict in the Aurora shooting trial. James Holmes found guilty of first-degree murder. He shot and killed 12 people in that theater nearly 3 years ago. It was at a midnight screening of Batman, and 70 other people were injured, including in those that were killed, a woman that was carrying a baby. This man tried to at least say that he was mentally ill, tried to go down that route. Jury wasn't buying it. So first-degree murder. Rick, quick thoughts on this? I mean,
well, we'll have
really
more to say later, but it'll be interesting to see the penalty phase now. I think there's a very good chance that this guy will face death. I'm not a big death penalty fan, but it's not like I'm going to lose any sleep over it.
Okay,
so.
Very good. So let's get back to our story. Once again, breaking this afternoon, 4 Marines dead after a Kuwaiti-born man thought to be living in Arizona opened fire on 2 military facilities in Chattanooga, Tennessee. This morning, one was in a strip mall. It was a recruitment center. Those Marines were able to crawl out the back. Only one was shot in the leg. He then drove 7 miles down to another military facility where unfortunately 4 Marines were shot dead, including the shooter who was taken out there by local law enforcement as well. Let's get back to our panel. In terms of everything that we know, guys, and Rick, I said this at the top of the show, unfortunately, I mean, how do you stop something like this? I mean, that's a recruitment center in a strip mall.
You don't.
You know, you
just don't.
You just don't.
You
I mean,
don't.
there are ways to cut down on these things. And the FBI has been doing a great job in preventing these things from happening.
I find it astounding how well, you know, you talk about presidents, both administrations, ever since 9/11, the fact that we have these horrible things happen, but they're so, by comparison, so small. I think it's stunning what our government's done, and got to give the congressman here some credit for that too. It's phenomenal, and so you can't stop all of these things. It's terrible when it happens. It's terrible when anybody's hurt. But you keep trying. You keep trying. You have to keep trying. I'm with you on this, Amy. You know, I may be liberal on a lot of things, but when it comes to ISIL, I'm not particularly liberal. I'm a hawk, and you know that.
Well, and one of the
we got to take out every single one of these. You know what's.
Yeah. And one of the things that plays into this, I think, is citizen participation.
Yeah.
And citizens who see something saying something.
Absolutely.
And being aware. And we know that plays into helping law enforcement and then our intelligence communities follow up on leads. So people need to participate.
Congressman, do you support, and believe it or not, I've heard Rick say he supports it, I support it, I would imagine Amy supports it, but you could confirm this for me, boots on the ground, at least from a multinational perspective, in Iraq and possibly Syria to take out ISIS once and for all? Because we have the air power, we have the air superiority. I'm shocked that these guys have grown the way they have.
We have the air superiority, and we also have the drone capability, you know, the virtual capability that is there. If it takes boots on the ground, then that is something that needs to be discussed. I think what we have to do, and what the president has to do, is to listen to the commanders. And when we surged up in Iraq, that was done because of listening to the commanders. And they're the ones that are going to know. I would never try to second guess them. They do not need 535 commanders-in-chief in Washington. And what the president needs to do is pay close attention to that. They're going to give him the best advice. You know, I was sorry that with the Iran deal, we had the command team saying, oh, there will never be anything with arms or ballistic missiles, and then the deal comes out and, you know, they've been proven wrong, or it wasn't the right advice.
I know you're not a fan of that deal, but what did you find the most troubling about it, of all the concessions that were made by the U.S.?
The arms embargo. Dealing with that, I feel as if it sets a time certain that Iran knows they can move forward. The lifting of sanctions before they do the compliance, which allows them to begin to build. All of that is of concern to me.
And how about the 4 American prisoners that weren't part of the negotiation?
I was stunned that it was not a part of the initial deal.
Do you think it was a matter of maybe saving political face? I think Rick made this point that you don't do it at the initial announcement of the negotiations, because the mullahs want to look good. Everybody wants to look good, and maybe a couple weeks down the line,
That's what you're
slowly,
gonna see.
they're gone. You think that'll happen, Rick?
Yeah, I mean, I'm reminded always in these situations of the Cuban Missile Crisis and how we resolved that, and the secret deal that was made between Khrushchev and Kennedy to 6 months later take the missiles out of Turkey because we needed to save face. I think you're seeing exactly the same thing here. I sure hope I'm right. I want those guys to come home, but I think you'll see them coming home in the next few months.
I want them to come home too.
Okay, we're all
Well,
agreeing
here we
on
are
that.
on a day
Quickly.
talking about a terrorist attack potentially on American soil, and we're lifting sanctions to put $100 billion in the coffers of the biggest state sponsor of terrorism.
All right, that'll have to be the last word on that. Congressman, thanks for coming by
Good to
on a
be with
very
you.
busy
Thank
day
you.
we know for you, so we appreciate getting your input.
Yeah.
Okay. More Daily Wrap in just a moment. Stay tuned.